What has happened to our world of social media? The once upon a time online communities of candid conversation and open-hearted dialogue have taken a nosedive into a corporate frenzy of advertising, controlled speech, and data collection en masse. Facebook is constantly making headlines over the abuse of people's personal data. Twitter has become a war zone of outraged activism and overzealous trolls, a place where people go to argue with one another, exchanging 280-character mic-drop insults with one another in an effort to expose, defame, and sometimes explicitly abuse their online peers. Instagram continues to slip more and more advertisements into users' feeds, sometimes coinciding with recent conversations they've had within earshot of their mobile devices. And Snapchat, while still serving a mostly peer-to-peer exchange of media content, has begun pushing mainstream media tabloids and political commentary directly into the hands of users who weren't asking for it otherwise. And while the current lack of alternatives to the suite of mainstream social media application lingers, the simultaneous exile of individuals who step out of line while using these applications ties a nice, cooperative bow around the forming conglomerate of these platforms. Just as cable TV programming has been diluted down to the whims of corporate agenda pushing, so too do our social media applications seems to be suffering the same fate. But what will it take for true alternatives to reach any sort of adoption in the real world? I hear the complaints of countless amounts of people who voice their concern with the issues mentioned. Yet, other than removing themselves from social media entirely, has there been another option? And for the record, I am not against removing oneself from social media entirely. I digress, with seemingly the only two options to monetize large social media platforms being 1, to serve as many ads as possible, and 2, mining user data with or without their clear consent, there must be a solution in the form of decentralized applications on the horizon. As with any technological innovation, it might take time, and with the flow of information being filtered through a few large media outlets, be them digital or traditional, adoption of dApps is a hurdle left uncleared. I recently had the opportunity to catch up with my friend Jamie Thompson to talk about the current issues and opportunities facing our online social interactions.
If you're an app like, say, Tinder, which is monetized by, so in-app, it's all about in-app extra features, premium features. The delta between the super active user and your average user is enormous. Meaning those hardcore spenders are worth so much more. Whereas on an ad-supported social business like Facebook, the delta between your really hardcore, heavy Facebook addict and your average Facebook user, which is probably an aggressive user anyway, that is not such an extreme number. So that's why we're seeing things like selling data and finding other ways to optimize the user value. Like literally optimizing, it's not just about optimizing the user experience, it's about how do those companies make more money from you as a user, and if it's an ad-supported business, they can only get so much out of you. They can only sell so many ads.
Jamie has been busy developing a hyper-local social network called Selfie.yo. With it, users are able to share location-based pictures that can help them connect with other people in the surrounding areas.
Is it weird in 2019 to be a neighbor that just knocks on the door and says, "Hey, welcome to the neighborhood"? I guess people used to do that from what I read, like in the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, I don't know, but they certainly don't do that anymore. So this concept of the local social graph, it's something that Selfie.yo is really, really deeply interested in, something I'm deeply interested in. The people around you, in theory, should be the easiest to make small talk with, but in practice, it's not that easy. And it seems like in this world, driven by our mobile phones, which I love. I mean, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing. I wouldn't be building Selfie.io if I wasn't totally enamored with my mobile phone like everybody else. I'm totally enamored with social like everybody else. But it's not that easy to actually just have small talk or a conversation with your neighbor. As social networks have gotten bigger and bigger, you lose a lot of the personal elements that made the early social networks feel rewarding and an enriching part of your life. Now I can basically say, hey, I'm here having a burger, who's around, and I don't have to worry about the rest of the internet sort of hunting me down or, chastising me for not eating an organic burger. Just an example. I don't know, maybe it's a bad example, but that's how weird the internet has become, and social. I'm a bad person, I didn't eat organic today. I'm a bad person, I ate a burger, period. Right. Shit, I don't even want to talk to anybody.
That person sees you in person.
If now they're going to behave. That's exactly it. If there's a chance that person sees you in person, now you're back to real life social constructs. Okay, I shouldn't berate this guy. I don't even know this person. I'm not going to berate him. Because I'm a real person, he's a real... this concept of being neighborly, real people here.
While I was in Boston, Jamie and I had a chance to catch up with some of his users to talk about the current climate of social media and what they think a local-based app like Selfie.io could do to change it.
I feel like people are less prone to be social because of all the kind of random apps out there, the other ways you can meet people. But I think it's a pretty weird phase that we're in.
When I'm on Facebook, a lot of the things that I see, the algorithm they use, is just something that I liked one time, and then they flood my feed with something I think is irrelevant now, something that I just don't care to see.
A guy coming up to you in person asking for your number, is that more forward? It is more forward, but is that more of he's showing a romantic interest than just friending you on Facebook?
I think it depends on the situation, but I think I would definitely appreciate it more for them to actually approach you instead of just sending a Facebook message.
I am currently only on Instagram and Snapchat, and Selfie.io, but and Selfie.io, obviously. But I usually use Snapchat, primarily Snapchat, but I hate the advertisements they have on the side, the third panel that you don't go into, and it's strictly spam. If I saw someone I knew on Selfie.io that was out at the bar, I'd be like, word, I'm in. Give me the address, where you at? I'm coming.
It could be one of those snowball effects, I met this person through this app, and it's whoa, you guys seem really cool, I need to meet cool people through this app, so I think it could really snowball if you have that kind of foundation.
Yeah, I feel also being the same age, you must have seen the lifespan of MySpace, where it started out with MySpace? Yeah, everyone's got MySpace. So you're in my top 8? I don't know. I got Tom. That's it. You get to, all these people. It's all just you comment on their wall. And then it slowly turned into no one likes us, let's go to Facebook. And then almost immediately it turned into just music, advertisements, and garbage. Didn't like it. Hated it. No one's on name one person on MySpace right now.
Even Tom's not on MySpace.
Even Tom's not on MySpace.
So the high schoolers are allowed to, in the school that I work at, they're allowed to have their phones, and they're actually pretty respectful with them. Once in a while I'll see them taking out their phone and taking a Snapchat picture. But it's actually the middle school, the younger generation, the middle school kids, we have to take their phones, they can't handle it, and when they do have their phones, they'll record something and then they will replay that recording, that Snapchat video, again and again and again. They would rather look at their screen than reality. And I also notice with my teaching, if I tell them something, they don't listen. But if I show them a video, they are just glued to it. So everything is they're obsessed with media and they're obsessed with screens. So it's really, whereas the high school kids are not, they're in the middle. They're pretty reliant on technology, but they're not that bad.
This is the whole point of social on a local basis, is we're sharing so many elements of our lives with our neighbors that it's easy to form bonds and it's easy to form social connections if you can get over that hurdle of trying to figure out who are my neighbors, how do I talk to them. It's not easy to figure out on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, forget it. Not easy.
Sticking with the hyperlocal theme of Selfie.io, Jamie and some of his users have come up with an intriguing idea for guerrilla marketing. The idea would be to hide either a private key or seed phrase in a large mural that would depict images of the Boston Tea Party or other revolutionaries, making the new age of decentralized applications analogous with the liberation of America. And of course, giving people the challenge to decipher the message and earn cryptocurrency in the process.
Cool. And so this is what we're kind of trying to figure out is like, it can't be, and so this is where like you guys will, I don't know how to do this, but like somehow people will, the first person to figure out those seed recovery words or the private key would ostensibly have access to it. Yeah. So it can't be too obvious because we don't want it to just be the first guy that sees it. We want it to be somebody that figures it out somehow.
Given the opportunity for dApps like Selfie.io and others like it to gain traction, an important question still remains. What is the monetization model for these applications if not serving ads and exploiting user data?
There's a lot of excitement around other protocols. EOS, Tron, even Bitcoin itself, I think, is sometimes or often overlooked as like, you know, a protocol upon which there is and will continue to be lots and lots of innovative development. I tend to look at things through the lens of what's going to help us achieve the goal of delivering great product to users, being scalable, doing it cost effectively, securely, being able to implement the premium blockchain features, some of which we've talked about in terms of putting your content on blockchain, paying for that, of course, making that part of the business model, basically, for Selfie.io. I don't wake up in the morning saying, I've got to build the best EOS dApp, or I've got to build the best Ethereum dApp. I wake up in the morning and say, I've got to build the best user experience that delivers value, like awesome value, to as many users as possible. In fact, to as many users who don't care about the underlying technology. If you look, I mean, on the aggregate, the number of pictures and videos that humans take on a daily basis, I don't know, it's got to be, it's billions and billions and billions. I don't think it's about users en masse leaving Facebook or leaving Instagram or Snapchat all at once, but the level of experimentation among normal users has never been higher than it is today. And this desire to experiment with new forms of communication and new forms of social media where this conglomerate, we'll use Facebook as an example, doesn't necessarily own your data, that desire is definitely there, absolutely. And I think it's one of a variety of reasons why people are experimenting with and excited for potentially censorship-resistant communication, potentially dApps using blockchain that offer new forms of privacy and new features that allow us to feel like we're communicating without being watched all the time.
As we move forward with the world of decentralized applications, protocols like EOS have allowed seamless user experience on the blockchain. And with this progress, I truly believe the question of adoption has become less of an if and more of a when. If you like this video, please like, subscribe, and comment. Also check out the other videos on my channel. You can also follow me on Twitter at EvanTweetsHere to keep up with whatever I have going on at the time.